same night, ditch the flannel because it's hot and I've been running around like crazy. Primary's done. Shocks are on, swing arm's on, chain is roughly on. I don't have the master clip in yet, but we got a free spinning wheel, dragging on the drum a little bit. This is not final adjusted, so we got to chase that down in a little bit. However, other big things now that it is a complete roller. Primary is done. Cam chest is done. Heads are torqued. Rockers are torqued. We are in pretty good shape right about now. Gotta get the oil tank in. I was just gonna bolt it together. You can take the stock tank, pinch bolt this through, but there is a bracket that goes up here. If you don't run the bracket, you run the risk of cracking them. I don't want to do that, so we're gonna fix that and do that right now. Got a brand new bin of parts. Let me bring you guys back around. Actually, let me just turn you guys around. Okay, I do have the lower bracket. It's already set up, I believe. You got your chrome version, which we're not going to use, and the Parkerized upper, which is already black. This is the one I wanted to wait for because this little bracket does wonders when it comes to actually installing this. Other than that, we got our rubber bushings. I was short one of these as well, so we put this on pause for a while. I got these two. I'm not going to replace those, but we are going to replace this one on the front of the primary. Little tab that comes up over the fake starter stop, if you will. You don't have to go crazy on those. They are rubber, but this is the one we needed. So we'll go around to the oil tank side and start trying to drop this oil tank in. On the oil tank, upper bracket, this bolts on here. How does this one bolt? Like so. This is the little shield. Like so. And it should mount on the two bolts in the frame through here, if I remember correctly. We'll see. I'm learning. I'm not an expert on these. I just know that you want the upper bracket. Alright, so part of me is kind of guesstimating here, but we got oil tank through the steel bracket, like so. And then fine thread on the back side. We do have washers and lock washers and all of these other parts. So I'm just laying this out the way that I think it should go. This is not exact. If I am wrong, please correct me. I would greatly appreciate it. But we got fine threads, we got not fine threads. I'm going to run the fine threads through the top of the bracket. So in my head, this makes logical sense. If the bolt comes through, you have your lock washer and your regular washer, then the nut on the back side of this kind of like so. It looks to me like the bracket's going to loop around and go through here, but again, I'm not positive on this at all. Everything else seems to line up with the exception of this on the frame. So let me mess around with this and I'll come back when I think I have a better idea of what's going on. Okay, oil tank is back in. We still need to put a plug in here. I got two of them. This is the same size as the timing plug, so I got two brand new chrome ones that'll go in there. Now, what I would like to do is try and at least lay out the brake stuff. We got freshly coated brake linkage. This will drop down through here. I'm going to have to pull the chain off. This all has to get greased, but this will drop through on the back side, go around the chain. The chain will ride on this side, closest to you, this side of this. The chain right now is just roughly laid out, so I'm going to break the chain off, slide this up, and then we'll hook up the brake linkage. I did not put the tensioner bolt adjuster back in yet, so we're going to have to come back to that later. But we'll grease up this fitting, drop that back in. So, in order to do that, we need to figure out where the end of this chain is that I just put back together for a rough mock-up. right here. And we need a 1/2 inch to loosen up the chain tensioner. Just one little bit. We don't need a ton of space, just enough to free that one up. And got our chain right here. We'll separate this one. A little flathead here. Like so. Get off the sprocket. That'll give us enough room and clearance here. Just drape that over for now. Then we got to grease up the kicker shaft or brake shaft. Gonna be kind of generous on this one. We don't want this binding, and it's been blasted and coated. One greasy, greasy shaft. Let me clean my hands up. I'll be right back. All right, give a quick wipe down on my hand. It's still covered in grease, but we coated the brake linkage and the brake arm. And that means, here's the brake arm. Normally I would coat this whole thing and rerun a tap over this to make sure it works. However, in this exact scenario, we're just going to slap all this together right now. I got to find the cotter pin. I do not know where that one is right now, but this will drop down here. The cotter pin's going to go through here. Just going to throw a small bolt in there for right now. I know that needs a cotter pin, so this is going to get changed, but just for the current time being, that is what we're going to use, just to kind of keep everything in check. And then there is an adjuster here on the return, just a double nut and a bolt that thread in a jam nut onto this bracket. But that right there should work. We got the oil tank fixed and mounted. So ideally the goal is to get this to a point where tomorrow I can come out and start plumbing it. So we got feed down here that needs to go down to the oil tank, return and a vent on the other two parts of the tank. But we have to tweak that a little bit because we are running an external oil filter. Carburetor's done. Everything else is kind of laid out. But now that this is on-ish, obviously it's just floating here. That is okay. I'll throw the brake arm on the other side. There's some spring stuff we got to deal with that I'm not going to take care of right this current second, but I'll at least lay this out so there's a little bit of pressure on it. But we can get this slightly set up. Nope, that's a waste of time. It's going to have to come right back out anyway. So that one's going to wait. Put these bolts back in. There's a spring that goes around the kicker shaft. I was being proactive, but that's not really going to help me at this current juncture, so that's going to wait for a minute. However, we have a rough layout setup now. Brake light switch is going to go onto this brake rod, so that's something else we're going to have to adjust tomorrow. This is just pinched together with whatever hardware I have. I got some cleaner versions of that for the shifter. And last but not least, throw this chain back on. Like I said, I'm loosely laying everything out. One, I'm trying to figure out where all my parts went. Two, all of this is going to have to get tweaked again at a later juncture. But there we have it. Chain's roughly in, spins free, brake works. Better than my old Sportster, that's for sure. Even just doing a quick bench test. Sprocket cover works. Starter works. We are in good shape, minus the detail stuff. I don't want to do the pipes because that's going to throw off being able to jack this up, and that's a quick little drop on. But I'm pretty happy with it. Tomorrow we'll be plumbing and buttoning up the other motor stuff once I start digging through all of the boxes of parts that I have scattered about my entire garage right now. This is supposed to be fun, and I'm just stressing like crazy. It's fun sometimes until it's crunch time, and I'm sitting here freaking out about every little odd and end, and all the nuts and bolts and the details. Happens. We will have one cool little bike by the time it's done. Laugh about it when we are done with all of that and go from there. Like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things, please. I might throw this battery tray on now that I have the rubbers in. Nothing fancy there. It literally slides over here and bolts down along with the electrical panel with the voltage regulator. Might tinker with that real quick. So if I come back tomorrow, that's why. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.